going to refer to is the monthly budget. So I'll keep these things in mind for when I set up this pay period. We've already figured out paycheck A, so we're going to be working with these things plus a little extra that I need to spend for this pay period, because like I said, I need to include school shopping, luggage that we didn't get to, so those things will have to go into this pay period, into the budget this pay period. Alright, everybody, thanks for clicking on this video. Today I am here to do my pre-payday prep and my closeout. So what I do at this time is I take a look at my spending from the past week, see what I have left, and then I get ready for my next payday. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the closeout. Usually I do these separately, but I am condensing how many videos I am posting from now on. So I'm going to just do this all in one. Alright, so here's the August budget that we had laid out. Our first paycheck was on the 28th, and our next one will be on the 11th. So I'm going to go ahead and close out what we have left on the 28th. And this is the budget that we created for the week of the 28th. We set out exactly how much we expected to spend in each area, and I have gone ahead and filled in what was actually spent. So I did this based on the expense tracking that I did here throughout the week. Every day I wrote down what I spent and from what category I spent it. And then at the end of the pay period, I highlighted everything so that I knew which section the category falls under. So when I flip back over to this page, you can see that I filled in what I actually spent in each of these highlighted categories. They are each color coded. So I know in my home category, I expected to spend $278.89. No, in my home category, I expected to spend $610, and I actually spent $277.89. And that's mostly because mortgage is still in there. But I did some other spending and went over and some, under and some. So you can see at the end of the day whether I was over or under in my budget. I was under in home, so I still had $332 there. Food, I went over by $2.11, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, I was under budget by $771.66. Again, that's mostly because of things that got rolled over, like mortgage didn't get paid out yet and it's still in the bank, so that's why. So at the end of the day, my actual end balance was $743.95. I was able to save $50 from my daughter's miscellaneous spending, so I put that into the savings category for her. And from now on, those will be in my wallet. I am going to be changing up some things with my bank accounts. So I was doing a transfer from one bank to the other. Ally was giving me problems with transferring from one savings account to Ally. So I ended up doing it from the checking account, but I forgot to put the money in that other bank checking account. And Ally takes a really long time to do transfers. I mean, most banks can take up to 3 days, but Ally takes 3 days. SoFi is immediate. It's always the same day, just about. If not, it's immediately the next morning. So it can get kind of hard transferring things to Ally. So honestly, I really have had a few issues with Ally. I've said all along that I like SoFi better. But Ally was good for budgeting these different bucket categories. But if you're not very, very careful, it can get very confusing using the buckets in Ally. So I think I'm going to be changing some things for the next pay period. But I'll go over that with you guys at a later date. I just wanted to show you that I was under budget this pay period. I was able to close everything out. All of these bills got paid. The mortgage and the YouTube subscription is still in the bank, so they will get paid when they're due. YouTube is automatic. It's an automatic payment, so I couldn't pay it early. I think there's a couple things that I have that are on auto pay that you can't pay early. They're just only an auto pay kind of thing. They're not a pay, on the due date, or you can pay early. A lot of things I try to pay early if I can. But I'm holding off on those two, so those will roll over to the next pay period. And I have to remember, I put myself a note down here at the bottom to update my trackers in the back of the book once I am done with that pay period. So I did, here's my savings trackers. I added some money to her graduation. I added some money to car emergency and to Christmas. I'm just tracking a few of the more important long-term ones. The others I'm not tracking. School, college, travel, transportation. This is for going to do college visits for my daughter. And then debt, I am tracking and paying off Discover. I didn't put the starting balance there, which I need to do. But you can see, actually I could just add $1,000 to where I am now. Here are my ending balances. Ally had $152.21 left. $50 of that was in my daughter's miscellaneous bucket. I had moved to savings for her. Gas, I did not use any gas, which I'm down to like E right now. I just had a really, really busy week and didn't have time to get out there to do gas. I do gas at Costco, which is like a town over. It's worth the savings, but this is my first time ever going below half a tank. It was just super, super busy, but I hardly ever, this might be the first time ever that I am down to like no gas. But I will be doing that when I do groceries this pay period too. So that just rolled over as well. Here are the sinking funds I used. I used a total of $343 in sinking funds. I think I expected to spend $650 in sinking funds. So I did not spend all of vacation because we were not able to find luggage. But I did get some things that we will need for vacation from a local store where we went school shopping for her. School shopping, we also only spent $60. She was not able to find much of the things she wants. We really wanted to just get sneakers, and we're having a hard time with that, so we're going to try again this weekend. So you'll see me put that in the budget for next week as well. But here are my ending balances. I ended with, like I said, the $793.95 minus the $50 for her savings that I saved, $305 in buffers across the accounts. So that's money that I keep in the bank account in case a bill is more than I expected or I have to spend money online. And then all right, that's it. It was a pretty good week. Not bad at all. Discover ended with $1,328.09 because we were able to pay that $1,000. So let me add that to that. What was it? 232809 is what we started with. The minimum payment, I really don't know what the minimum payment is, honestly, because I pay on it so much that I haven't even seen the required balance. I pay on it every 2 weeks now. And then the other benefits of this little book here is that I can track what bills I've already paid off for the month. So I'm doing that there. And I can also, at the end of the month, calculate how much I spent in each of the categories. This all comes blank and empty, so you can do whatever you want with it and line it up however you want with it. But I do want to write out, my income, what I saved in each of these categories, rollover, etc., how much I saved for the month, and then how much I spent in each of the categories. So that's how I'm using this. I really like it so far. I think closing out every 2 weeks for me is just better because I get paid bi-weekly. And it's just easier to wrap up 2 weeks versus a whole month. All right, so I always do it on a piece of paper first. All right, so let's put this to the side and we'll get this set up. What I am going to refer to is the monthly budget. So I'll keep these things in mind for when I set up this pay period. We've already figured out paycheck A. So we're going to be working with these things plus a little extra that I need to spend for this pay period. Because like I said, I need to include school shopping, luggage that we didn't get to. So those things will have to go into this pay period, into the budget this pay period. All right. I will explain that I overdraft in the Ally account, or there was an overdraft fee because they pulled it from the wrong account, which was totally my error. But I did call my bank, you can always do this, to ask for them to give me a refund, and they did. And the woman that I spoke to there gave me all kinds of advice on how I can prevent this. We were just talking about how, why I have so many bank accounts. I was explaining it to her, and she was just basically telling me, you have too many, which she's absolutely correct. So I am going to be condensing them. I think right now my plan is for Ally to be for the bills. because it'll be easier for me to separate each of the bills in that account. I can put buckets for each different bill, and then when the bill is due, it can come right out automatically. And that way, when there's extra money left, I can keep them in the buckets. And I don't have to worry, okay, what is this for? What is this amount for? What do I have to subtract from this? What is already accounted for? Everything will be in its separate buckets. And then I have one buffer for Ally and bills, so I can get rid of my bill account. And then it'll condense to Ally, and then I will use cash envelopes for my day-to-day spending. Groceries, I'm keeping that digital because it's easier when I do grocery pickup to just have that already in the bank account and spend there. Same thing with gas. It's just too hard to have cash. With Costco, it's easier to just use my debit card right there at the pump. So those kinds of things will stay in the bank, and the cash things that I can use will stay in cash. I'll show you that breakdown when I do my cash withdrawal sheet and the whole budget, so you'll see how that works. All right, so enough yapping. Let's get to our bi-weekly budget. So that's our pre-payday prep. And this is for August B paycheck. All right, so my paycheck, I've already looked at my employer's website, and I know the paycheck will be $17.96, so much more than I expected it to be when I did my monthly budget. I think I budgeted the monthly for $17.25. Yeah, so much more than I thought it would be. So let's start with the rollover. So this is something I don't always do because sometimes it confuses me, but because we're doing the bi-weekly closeouts in the book, I think it's important for me to start with what I have left over from one payday to another, so that I remember, okay, why do you have extra money more than what you had in your paycheck? And that'll be why. $743.95 is what we have in a rollover minus that $50 that we've saved, and then the payday we have $17.96. I don't do change when it comes to the income coming in, so $743.95 plus $17.96, that brings us to $2539.95. And then plus I have sinking funds that I plan to use this pay period that we went over briefly. We have this $300 that I am planning in school shopping. So that's the budget that we have. That's coming from savings that we already have, each of these. We have the $450 that's going to be due for the hotel. For vacation, that's going to come from the vacation sinking fund. I still have the $150 for the luggage, again coming from the vacation sinking fund. And then family fun, we're going to be doing 2 fun things this month that was not planned initially, and the budget was supposed to be more, but I'm going to try to just spend a little bit less. I think this is $11.50. Let's see. Yep, that's $11.50. We are going to go to the state fair. We're going to travel for that, and then we're also going to go to a water park. My mom invited us to go to a water park near the end of this month. I want to add these savings to our budget so that when I spend at the end of the pay period, I know where the extra money came from. So that brings us to $3689.95 to budget with for this pay period. Before I go any further, I want to take out the buffers. So the money that I'm keeping in the bank for any bills that are, over or more than I expect. So I said already, let's see how much the buffers were from the last pay period. $305.45. So let's take that out because I want to keep those in there. Buffers. So there will only be 2 buffers from now on since I'm condensing the accounts. So maybe it'll be easier to build those up. All right, that brings us to $3,000. $384.50. All right, that's a buffer. It's kind of, that's like a savings. I consider that savings. And then we can get to the nitty gritty. We have automatic savings. That comes out every pay period. That's going to come out to $225. That is the first thing that comes out every time. And that's going to bring us down to $3,159.50. And I'm always going to map out for you guys what that's going to cover. So this $225 auto save, we're going to do $25 to the car note as usual. This time we'll do $100 to my daughter's graduation, and we'll do $100 to car emergency. All right. And that's for any repairs, of course. Okay, that zeroes that out. Auto savings is contributed to and prepared for. Next thing that we have to take out is our fixed expenses. So I already know, because I've done the math, that the total of the fixed expenses, it's going to be $1025. So I usually always do this in the same order. All right, for the fixed expenses, $1025, and that is going to include what bills are due. So I know I have Amazon is due. Amazon is due, Netflix, phone bill, Discover. Okay, so for Discover, I'm actually going to pay $210 to Discover instead of the $150. I had the $60 rollover from gas, so I have that extra money there. And then for mortgage, we have the $340 for this pay period, and then we had the $370 that rolls over, so that portion of the mortgage, and we also have the $8 from YouTube subscription that rolls over. What else? So let's see, how much is that? This should be $1025. Yep, that's $1025. That brings us to $2134.50. All right. Fixed expenses is covered. The next thing that comes out is our other expenses. So where's my, let's see. Semi-annuals, the only thing that's going to be due for this month is the H2O, the water bill, but I'll pay that with this next paycheck. So our other expenses, this is where it would come in next. Other expenses is going to be these things. So let's just take out the whole $1150 for other. It's going to bring us to $984.50. Okay, and other, do I need to write that out again? I will, because we added it and now we need to subtract it. So let's see. Other expenses. Alright, so we're budgeting $300 for school shopping. Sorry for my handwriting, it just is what it is. $450 for our vacation hotel, $150 for our vacation luggage, and $250 for family fun for the water park and state fair. All right, that's pretty easy. Then we're down to $984.50. Variable expenses, that's what's next. Variable expenses this time for me is just going to be $325. And I'll give you a breakdown of what that includes. That brings us down to $659.50. All right, so variable expenses. Now this is what is going to be kept in Ally, right? So variable expenses includes $200 for grocery and toiletries, $65 for essentials. I'm keeping essentials in the bank because usually that comes with groceries and toiletries. My shopping that I do for grocery pickup, usually that's all done in the same place. And then I have the $60 for gas from Costco. So it's just easier to keep all three of those in the same place. Let me make sure that's right. It is. All right, so that zeroes out. Variable expenses, that's going to be in Ally. Right, and then the rest of this is going to come out in cash. Let's leave this in the buffer. That way we can go back to zeroing out. I don't like using the change in the budget. It just feels unnecessary. All right, $6.59. Rest of this is going to be in cash. Like I said, this is what's going to come out of the bank. We're going to do our cash envelopes. We're going to go back to that. I'm kind of really excited about that. I just feel like I'm going to be more careful with spending when I go back to that. And also, it won't be as confusing to overdraft and all that stuff. I never overdraft, so that kind of really pissed me off. I did get the money back, but still, I was upset with myself for not being as careful with the money. All right, so cash envelopes, what's going to come out of that? $235 is what we're going to do in cash envelopes. It's going to bring us down to $424. All right, so in the cash envelopes, 235, I did that backwards, but that's okay. We're going to do dining, which is going to be $90, so more than it usually gets because this is my break month. My spending is going to be $60. My daughter's spending, I'm going to put $30 aside for her. Health, we used the health sinking fund. We used about $30 from it last pay period, so I got to build that back up. And pet has $85. I'm going to put 15 more to make that 100, and that's usually what I like to keep it at. So anytime I use it, the goal is to get it back to 100. Health is 150. That goal is 150 to keep it there. And then miscellaneous is getting $25. So this is what's going to come out in cash. That zeroes out perfect. All right, cash envelopes, $235. That's done. Always fund, right? That's what's next. So we got the Ally, we got the cash envelopes, we got the Always Fund. That's what's next. So some of these are going to get a little bit more, some a little bit less than what we usually give, again because of the break month. So the Always Fund, I'm going to give it $310. So this is our priority savings. It usually gets $200, but I gave things about a third more than it usually would get. All right, and then we'll have $114 left. Okay, so what are we coming out of the Always Fund? Man, this is a little bit tight. All right, Always Fund is going to give $60. We're going to put in home emergency. We're going to put, I'm going to run out of lines, $50 in home maintenance, $60 in school travel. That's for my daughter's college visits, which I am dumping as much into as possible. I'm going to give $60 for my savings. I don't know exactly which envelopes it's going to go in, but I'll just put $60 in there. And then $80 for Christmas savings. Hopefully that zeros. 50 minus 60, 60, 80. It does. All right, always fun is taken care of. Those are the priority savings. And then we have our don't sink funds. So for things that are going to come up later throughout the year, things that I know that I'm going to use. Let's see. I know I want to put some money in gift. So put $10 in there. Home decor. I want that to get $20. I think I'm going to not put as much in home decor going forward because I feel like I would rather home maintenance, things that we need to repair around the house, get the focus. So I may need to rethink that one. I'm trying to do less. It's a transition to go from more to less. But I feel like it would definitely do me more good to focus on less. Extra utilities. The utility bill, I don't know about y'all, but the gas and electric bill just keeps going up. It just keeps going up. It's summertime. It's supposed to be a break. No. It's been 95 and up here like every day. So our ACs, our window units are on. I try to use the fan overnight, so I don't keep it on overnight. But my utility bill last time was, let's see, this is another reason why I like this book. Because I have one place that I could just go and look. The utility bill was $186.89. It's usually less than $150. So it was $40. Actually, I looked at the actual bill. It was $40 more than it usually is because it does tell you right in there when you look. Yeah, so the $170 that I'm paying every pay period or every month is supposed to give me a cushion, and it's not going to because it's more than it ever has been before. So I'm going to start again building this extra utility cushion that I have. I think I have about $105 in there already from last year, but I have a feeling the winter time of this year, we're definitely going to need that. So it's got to go in there, unfortunately. And then the 100 envelope, I'm going to give that, I was going to give that $44, but I think I'm going to give it $34 and then give the extra utilities $20. That's what I'm going to do because that's kind of more important. I may even decide to put that in the always fund because I'm really nervous about what that winter bill is going to look like. I guess I shouldn't complain. It could be worse, and at least I have, I'm smart enough to save in advance because if not, I don't know what I would do. All right, so now that we're down to a zero budget, which means every dollar has a plan for where it's going to go. My budget is all mapped out. The last thing that I need to do is to plug that into my bi-weekly budget book. And I've already done a few things in here. All right, so ahead of time, I've already wrote down my goals, which is to do the treadmill 30 minutes a day, 80 ounces of water minimum daily, which is really tough, actually, for me. I'm used to doing 60 to 70, so I've raised it to 80 for the next 2 weeks. I need to eliminate 1 or 2 bank accounts to simplify my spending and savings. So I talked about that, about moving everything to Ally. It is a big task. It's a big task to move all of my bills to another account because I've had these auto payments and easy, how you just go in there and you click the bank account you always use. So I have to be very careful about having things withdrawn from the new account. So I am in the middle of, I've written everything down. That's what I have here. I've written everything down for all the bills to make sure that I check off whether I have set up the buckets in Ally. It's a whole process that I have to go through. So I'm working on that little by little, and then I have to move all the money over, make sure that all the auto payments are set up correctly, and all that good stuff. Okay. Then I have the sinking funds that I plan to use here in this section for the upcoming expenses. I have the bills that are due this pay period all written out in their dates, which I really love. I loved being able to check those off at the end or roll them over if they weren't paid. The income, I already wrote out, the rollover that I have from last pay period, including the buffers. So I wrote that out, what's left. Payday B. That's wrong. I put more in the buffers than I had before, so let's see. Yeah, 305.98 is. Thank God for erasable pens. 305.95. I don't know why I said 98. All right, and then I have the payday B, and the sinking funds I plan to use here. So I already wrote out that I plan on saving this much, $954.95. So $114 for the don't sink funds, $310 for the always funds that I wrote out. Automatic saving is of $225, and then we have the buffers. So at the end of the pay period, I'll write out what buffers I have left. Once the pay period is over, hopefully I don't have to use anything, but that's how much will be left. And then anything that I save from what's left at the end of the pay period will go here. All right, and so you'll see that I erased a bit because I started filling this out, and I'm like, you know what, let me just revamp this whole budget. So I erased everything. I don't know if you can even see the old lines, but I'm just going to keep it really basic. Here I tried to do more detail, and it just ended up getting more confusing. So we're going to keep it basic. We've already got the detail written out here. Thank you for you guys for suggesting that. I am going to take that advice. So home and the home budget, let's do the highlighting first. That makes it so much easier when I'm doing the categories. All right, so let's start with savings. Now I already showed you guys how I determine what goes in each category. Let me show you that real quick. I have this here. What this shows me, this is from the Budget Mom. I printed off. I bought that from her site, budgetmom.com or something like that. You can just Google the Budget Mom, and she has free sheets, and she also has sheets that you can purchase. I purchased some and then I downloaded some for free, so I'm not sure if this is, even if it is, nothing was more than like $5 for her printables, which is great because you can use them as many times as you want. So these are what fall into each of those categories. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and highlight, and I'll show you guys at the end. And then we'll do the same thing at the end of the pay period. I will make sure that it balances out. I didn't put the total income here because if I use any other sinking funds that I didn't plan on, I want to make sure I add that to the income too, right here. See, it says sinking funds used. So the ending income, that's what I'll put here. Expenses will be from this section here. And then we'll, calculate that. And the total savings here, if there's any rollover that I have left from this paycheck at the end of the pay period, I'll save that too and add that to the total savings. So we'll subtract that and we'll know what we have left over. So next thing that I'm going to do, and the last thing that I need to do to prepare for payday, which I'm so glad that I do all of this in advance, because by the time payday comes, all I have to do is go to the bank, pick up the money, and put it in my wallet, because everything's already planned out. I don't have to stress about what do I need to transfer where and how much do I need to take out of the bank. I don't need to do any of that. All of that's already done. All right, I do have these sheets that I made myself, so I'm going to use this sticky note, which is going to be for what I'm going to keep in Ally. I just want to notate that. Ally buckets. Besides our bills, we're going to keep the other expenses in their separate buckets too. And this is also so at the end of the pay period, I'll know what I started with and can compare what's left, so I know what it was spent. So that's $14.75. That's gonna go in Ally. All right, and then I can do my cash envelopes pretty easy. You guys have seen all the budget, so this is just what I know. This is just so that I know how much I need to take in each denomination when I go to the bank. right, $6.59. That's it. That's what she wrote. All right, so then I have that little mini piece of paper. That I take with me to the bank. And that makes it really easy to withdraw. And then I come home, I stuff my wallet, I stuff my binders, and then I'm good to go. Hopefully you guys have seen my binder condensing where I took money back to the bank and I, made fewer envelopes. So hopefully that'll help out when I do my cash stuffing. And then if we later on need to make even less envelopes, then I'll do that. I'll continue to keep trying to improve my strategy. And I do that every pay period, every month. Sometimes I try something different. I am always up for trying new things and correcting myself if I've been going down the wrong path. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, and I'm going to keep showing you guys that process of updating my budget and, trying to make things as easy and as accurate as possible and saving as much as possible because we are seriously saving. So if you enjoy the video, you want to see more, you want to see my journey, you want to see how things change, please like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on the journey and as things change. Feel free to comment if you have any questions or if you want to just, give your input or some things that you would like to see me try. My question of the day is, what is something that you realized you should change in your budget as you got older? Or as you we all get older regardless, but what is something that you realized you were doing wrong with your budget and what changed when you fixed it? That's my question of the day. What is something that you discovered you have been doing wrong all along with your budget and what changed? Or if you're deciding to change it now, what do you expect to change? All right, that's it for me today. I really appreciate it. Again, if you have not already, please like and subscribe, leave a comment, share the video, hit the notification bell, all the things. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this, and I'm going to continue to give you guys quality content. I will be decreasing the videos that I do to the ones that you guys like the most. It'll save me some time, and it'll give you guys the quality that you want instead of just quantity. Thank you so much for watching again. As always, I want you to remember it is about progression and not about perfection. Thank you for watching. Happy saving. Bye.